Hello and welcome back to this video on how we did the interactive story in HTML5. If you recall, this is our story here, our greetings friend and welcome to this special place. And of course, before viewing these, you should hopefully have viewed the other two videos. So let's see how this was done. If you recall, we had this broken up into 1, 2, 3, 4 different files, and then into 2 folders. And that was our index. That's the one that you just saw. And then we had our stranger JavaScript and our stranger cascading style sheet. And if we remember looking at, we opened this with Notepad, since that's what we wrote it in. The way we did this is we had it so that, let me get this here, so that all of the pages in the story were created as an array, and that we had 4 options, and the options were always followed by a tilde right here with a number, and that number represented the page that the user would go to down here if they took that particular option. So we had a relatively straightforward way of creating what could be a rather lengthy and complex story. So now the next thing we want to look at is we want to look at the story engine. But before we do that, let's look at what we had here. We're going to open this with Notepad again, and we're going to come down here to the bottom, and this should be a bit of a review, and we're going to stretch this out here. And when we do that, we'll see that we've got, whoops, that's my doggy, excuse me. Hi, Shadow, come on in. Okay, that's good boy. You know, this is Shadow, my dog. I know you can't see him, but anyhow, he had to come in and see what was happening. So what we had here is we had a span, and this class was for the cascading style sheets, this right here. Each one of these had a unique ID, and on mouse over, we called a function cursor over, and on mouse out we called another function cursor out, and on click we called another function get story, and all of these had arguments in them. So let's go and look at the code itself and see how that was done. This is my story engine, and I'm going to open this with Notepad. And if I look at this and scan down here to the bottom, I'll see there's my cursor over, and let me bring this in so you can see it better. There's my cursor over, and if you notice, I'm using a document object model, and all I've done here is for item, whatever the item is, R1, R2, or R3, which is this guy down here. This is R1, R2, R3. Depending on which one I'm rolling over, that will then do this. It'll make the cursor turn into a pointer right here, and it'll also make the cursor color, it'll make the text color gold. And then when I move out of this, what it does is that it sets it back to the original color, which was tan, and the cursor will now reset itself back to the normal cursor. If I scroll up here and I look at the beginning of my scripting here, and this is all part of the engine, this should be right at the top of it, which it is. And let me bring this in a little bit. I've got 2 functions here. One is called strip it, and the other one is called get. Fundamentally, what happens is that this right here will return the value of the link, that is what follows the tilde, the number that follows the tilde. And then what this function up here, strip it, does, this actually strips out the tilde and the number that follows it so the user doesn't see it. This part down here is what actually gets the story. This is when they click on it, they have get story. And this function from here all the way down to here, basically what it does is that it response 1 gets those words from that array. So the only variable that I have here is S, which is the page number. And this page number is now loaded, you get the page number from getW, and then that page number simply pulls in those words that we had in the array. And this simply strips the tilde and the number that follows it. The rest of this is inner HTML. Inner HTML for the presentation, inner HTML for response 1, and then get element by ID images .src. That's the image number. That's the audio number, and it plays that particular audio. So I'll just scan down here so you can see the code for this, and there we are at the end of the code for get story. So hopefully you can see enough of the code, and I've gone through here slow enough so that you can easily copy this code. So I think we've covered just about everything we need to cover. Let's make sure that we have all of this here. This is the HTML document, and I come down here, and that's what's on the HTML document. And then, of course, we do remember that this is what was on the story document. Let's see, I'm going to open this with Notepad for the story itself. Okay, the script for the story itself, which was just these arrays. Okay, I hope that you got something out of this video, and that it wasn't too confusing, and you have enough time to copy the code that I showed you here. Okay, that's it for this series. Thank you for watching.